Hello and welcome to episode 400. Yes, 400 episodes of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan and I am back for another edition of Market Monday. This show is designed to get you up to speed very quickly on recent average draft position, aka ADP movement in the fantasy football market. In the show notes, you can find a free link to charts and the full article on this topic from ETR Director of Analytics and the man behind all this, Michael Leone. By the way, reminder that anyone who purchases or has purchased our Draft Kit Pro, which is on sale now for $49.99, you automatically get a $10 credit into your Underdog account. That page on how to claim that $10 is live now. It's in the menu. If you do not have an Underdog account yet, you can just sign up for one using promo code ETR. You'll get up to $100 deposit bonus. And then you can come back and claim your $10 after that if you have Draft Kit Pro. All right. Let's begin with the fallers from the last 7 days. And I knew this one was going to happen. Leonard Fournette is down 3 spots roughly across the board. Meanwhile, Rachaad White is up 6.5 spots across the board. And all this stems from the Fat Lenny stuff. You know, if anybody isn't on Twitter, you missed a lot of Fat Lenny jokes. The cliff notes are that Leonard Fournette signed a big 3-year contract in free agency to come back to the Bucs. He did not show up to voluntary OTAs. He allegedly showed up to mandatory minicamp at 260 pounds. And I get it. All that stuff doesn't sound great. But I really think there's been an overreaction here on Leonard Fournette. I mean, first of all, there are videos and pictures of Lenny lifting lately, and he looks, pretty good. I would not say fat. His trainer says that Fournette is down in the low 240s now, and his ideal playing weight is around 235. I mean, he's a big dude. He's going to be fine weight-wise very soon, I think, sometime during camp. He'll get in shape. I think that's fine. I think the bigger question is if all of this has opened the door for Rachaad White to steal some work. And I think there's a chance of that, particularly on pass downs. But now that Fournette is dropping an ADP, I mean, I've seen him go in the late 3rd round rate lately. The Rachaad White risk is baked into that price. So you're almost free rolling. If Leonard Fournette has that absurd role he had last year, a true 3-down plus goal line back, well, he's a massive steal in round 3. And then if Rachaad White siphons off a decent amount of work, well, I think Lenny is still a solid pick in round 3. Like, he won't kill you there. So he's being drafted, I think, almost at his floor when he goes in that late round 3 range. Time to buy the dip on Fat Lenny. Second riser is Will Fuller. Second faller is Will Fuller. He is down 7 spots on Underdog now, 193rd overall. And man, where in the world is Will Fuller? Hurt his finger in week 4 last season. Literally have not heard from him since. It's so weird. I've seen really light, unsubstantiated rumors around him and the Packers, the Cowboys, the Browns, but he's still out there on the street, a free agent. And now we're entering camp. So I honestly don't know what's going on with Will Fuller. I'm pretty shocked we haven't heard from him, at least like through his agent saying something like he's healthy and he's ready. But what I do know is that if Will Fuller does sign with one of those teams that I mentioned, Packers, Cowboys especially, and maybe the Rams too, maybe the Browns too, he's going to get a massive ADP bump, like 3 to 4 rounds at least. So I think in managed leagues, if you're drafting this early, I would draft Will Fuller with like my last pick and worry about kicker or defense later. Just see what happens. In best ball stuff, I'm fine taking shots on Will Fuller, on Julio in some builds, but not always the ones, or not particularly the ones where I need help early, because it's getting pretty late in the game for these guys to sign with a team, get up to speed, and start climbing the depth chart. Last faller I'm going to talk about today is Albert O, tight end for the Broncos. He is down 6 spots in ADP. And a lot of this has to do, or I think all of it has to do, with the Greg Dulcich news. And I use the word news in quotes because this was Mike Kliss, longtime beat writer for the Broncos. He went on a show and was saying that Albert O and Greg Dulcich will compete for starting duties. And he went on to say other stuff like he thought Dulcich would play a lot, a certain percentage of the snaps, and Albert O would get reduced. He also said Dulcich got some first-team reps during OTAs and spring stuff, which is obviously really good. It's rare for a rookie. Usually the coaches make the rookies, quote-unquote, earn it for them to climb the depth chart that easy in May. But, this all goes back to what I was saying for a couple months now. The way that Greg Dulcich wins is not good for Albert O. Dulcich is not a blocker at all. He's essentially an oversized wide receiver. And as much as Albert O is a freak, and I love him as a player and a producer, when Denver is in clear passing situations, I think it's very possible that they think Dulcich will be the better option to be on the field. And that can lead to some canceling out at the tight end position. It's hard enough to be a viable fantasy option with a true workhorse tight end role in every down role. But if you're sharing time, it's absolutely brutal. And also, we have all these mouths to feed in Denver. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. It's really tough. So as painful as it is, because I think with a full-time featured role, Albert O could really be something special in fantasy. But as painful as it is, I haven't been reaching to get him very much. And there's always, it seems like, someone in these drafts who wants to reach for Albert O. But if he falls into the late 150s or so, I think there's a bet on talent situation there. And I'm fine with him as kind of a buy low spot, a buy the dip type play. All right, this week's risers. First one I'm going to talk about is Michael Thomas. He's up 6 spots on FFPC to 71st overall. This has to do with the positive health reports, including the one provided last week on our own podcast from Nick Underhill. Michael Thomas is starting camp on active/pup, but should be off of it soon, be back in practice. That said, I am certainly out on MT Michael Thomas as his ADP climbs here. We're talking about a 29-year-old wide receiver who has not been healthy in literally 2 years due to this ankle issue. And apparently still isn't even 100%. When Michael Thomas was soaking up 35% of the targets from the Saints, the rest of the wide receiver core was disaster. That's just not the case now with Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry there. Taysom Hill playing some tight end and stealing some RPO stuff. And also when Michael Thomas was in his heyday, it was Drew Brees, the ultra accurate Drew Brees on those quick slants and quick outs where MT wins. Where Jameis Winston wins is not with accuracy or precision. It's with arm strength and deep ball. So I'm not even sure this is a good quarterback fit for MT. And also with Sean Payton gone, as we talked about on the Saints podcast, I think the efficiency of the offense is just more fragile. So I'm happy to let Michael Thomas's ADP rise in front of me. Second riser I'm going to mention is Tyler Badie. He's up 15 spots or so at the very back end of drafts. This is related to all the injury news surrounding J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards with their knee issues. Tyler Badie is a round 6 rookie. People give guys like this way more credit than they deserve. But I do think that Badie has more juice than Mike Davis. So I get it. And I think that taking some last round shots on Badie is fine. But I still think that the J.K. Dobbins injury situation is overblown a bit. Like, even if he isn't ready for the first couple weeks, the price on Dobbins now, I've seen him go mid-late 60s, early 70s on Underdog. That's just so cheap. And I still think that the Ravens are purposely playing it coy publicly, purposely under-promising on Dobbins' health and then hopefully over-delivering. And then you have a lead back on the NFL's most run-heavy offense, one that will still be very efficient. Dobbins averaged 6.0 yards per carry, led all running backs in 2020. So, I get it on last round picks on Tyler Badie to see what happens with J.K. Dobbins' health. And if we get a negative report, I'll certainly be more in on Badie. But for now, I'm still staying high on Dobbins. All right, what I'm watching in this week upcoming. So we got the news Monday that James Robinson will not start camp on PUP. And that's surprising to me because he just tore his Achilles 7 months ago. Kind of like the Cam Akers thing. He just tore his Achilles 5.5 months ago before he came back. Now, he looked awful, and maybe it was because of the Achilles. But guys are coming back sooner and sooner from this. Obviously, it's not great for Travis Etienne if James Robinson is completely healthy from week 1. I think coaches like James Robinson as a pass protector, as a reliable guy. But I still think the way Travis Etienne wins in a similar way that Austin Eckler wins, Isaiah Spiller is still going to get a bunch of base work. And Austin Eckler is still, a top 5 pick. Travis Etienne can still win in other ways, namely pass catching, pass downs, and scoring touchdowns. So, yeah, James Robinson thing is not great, but I'm going to be watching to see if this hurts Travis Etienne's ADP significantly ahead of next Market Monday. For Jerry, for Leone, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.